Welcome to the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Michelle Berman-Michael, and my mission with this podcast is simple: to help realtors and loan officers across the world tap into the value Instagram can have for them and their business. To me, organic business that comes to us is the name of the game. On this show, you're going to hear from myself, other experts across social media, and also others that are just like you, selling real estate and doing loans and doing it at a high level on social media. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. If you guys don't know this lady, you should. She is a former Instagram Power Method course student, longtime friend of mine now, and someone who is just honestly crushing it. So Carla, I'm so excited to have you. I really believe that people are going to get so much out of this. So here's where I want to go with this conversation. And guys, there's a reason why I'm interviewing Carla for this. And there's a reason why we're talking right now. And the big reason here is Carla, over the last 2.5, almost 3 years, has completely shifted where she spends her money on marketing, how much she's spending on marketing. And 3, I think for a lot of you guys listening, you're asking yourself, like, can Instagram work for me? Like, does it even make sense for me to use Instagram if I am a commercial agent, or if I'm a multifamily person, or if I want to specialize in helping people, flip Airbnbs or buy their first one, or the list goes on. The categories of who might think that Instagram may or may not work for them is endless. But let's talk about each one of those 3 things. So 2019, $0 on Instagram, as far as I can recall, right? In 2020, I believe you did a total of 7 deals off of Instagram. I'm not sure exactly what the math is for you as far as volume there. And then 2021, I have a screenshot that I have shared with people who have asked me, but 7.1 million in total volume off of Instagram in 2021. Out of your total of just over 17 million in volume for the year. So that is roughly 40% of your revenue generated as an agent came directly off of Instagram in 2021, which if you look at year over year, that's absolutely mind blowing. So how much are you spending on Instagram and how much are you spending on marketing now as a whole, as far as lead gen?
So how much am I spending on Instagram?
For those of you guys who are listening to this,
those of you that are listening and not watching, it's a 0. I don't spend anything on Instagram. There was a couple points where I played with like
boosting them,
paying for your post. To see if it'll boost. And I didn't see a huge influx or anything. So not that it was expensive. So we'll call it $10. I spent $10 on Instagram last year. I spend my time. The reason why I choose it over some of the other platforms is because on those platforms, even though I was paying for them and they had value, right? I was closing leads on them. It's not like I was spending all this money and not seeing any ROI on it. It was, I had to think of like Zillow, right? For residential agents, you pay Zillow, $1,000 a month or so, they click and you have to call them. And then you have to convince them that you are the right person for this job. When I use my Instagram, I am in front of the person. All they have to do to see that I am the right person for this job is to scroll. That's it. That's all they have to do, is to scroll through, see my value series, see that I'm working, see what I'm talking about. And then they know I'm the right person for this job because I've already told them. I didn't have to convince them. I didn't have to sell them on anything. Like they are now seeking me out. I've even used it as almost like a website, like, hey, you should go check out my Instagram, so that if I am calling somebody and I am having to convince them how smart I am, it's like, you know what? Don't take my word for it. Go check out my Instagram. I just did a value series on that. And then they can see that I am an industry expert and I have 0 convincing I have to do about it.
So that's a huge, huge point, right? Is why do I encourage people to use Instagram, and why is Instagram an amazing platform? 2 reasons. 1, it's free, completely free forever. You never have to pay for a single ad if you don't want to. Matter of fact, as Carla just mentioned, she doesn't. Right? Number 2 is it is your website. It literally replaces the expensive, archaic side of websites that a lot of people are using. And I guess let me add a third one. It is a platform where everybody is going who is trying to validate or essentially decide if somebody is credible enough for us to give our money to. So when I choose to decide, am I going to hire someone or am I not? I go to Instagram. I mean, I got married in 2019, and where did I find our wedding venue? In a hashtag that I searched on Instagram. I genuinely do not believe that any platform will ever beat out Instagram, because its power is creating a credible platform that allows people to decide, are you worth me spending my money to hire you? So in 2019, you were spending a ton of money monthly on lead generation. In 2022, how much money are you spending on lead generation?
So this year I have spent none, because I just use Instagram and then other organic methods. What Instagram did was kind of open my eyes. So now I use Instagram, LinkedIn. I have a podcast, things like that, that put myself in front of people to show them that I'm an expert in my field, versus that call and trying to convince them. It completely shifted my whole perspective on marketing.
So you're telling me that you went from spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month on, different platforms that were similar to like your Zillow, et cetera, that people are using, not necessarily as much today, but you get my point. You were spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month on that stuff too. Today in 2022, call it 3 years later, you're not spending $1 on any of those platforms that you were spending money on in 2019. And instead you're focused on four main organic traffic sources, right? So number one is a podcast where you promote it on your Instagram. So that's cross promotion, right? LinkedIn is super powerful, especially for your higher end, kind of corporate style professional who is probably spending money on investments. Number three is of course Instagram. And then I would say number four being the news station that you're published on quite regularly, or you're featured on. And for those of you guys who don't know this, Carla landed a spot on a local news station, I should say, where she speaks for them almost monthly at this point. And that was something that she earned from Instagram. So it was because she had a platform that established or kind of validated who Carla was. And this, news station was like, okay, well, this person obviously knows what she's talking about. She's approachable. She answers her own messages, and hey, she's really smart. Maybe we should have her on. And then it turned into what it turned into.
Yep. That's 100% correct. Well, like I said, it completely shifted my whole mindset about what I was doing to promote myself and to put myself in front of people in order to close deals and to get sales.
So at what point over the last 3 years did you call or email those companies you were spending money on monthly and say, I don't need this anymore? And how did that happen? I think is a good conversation.
It's like calling a bad boyfriend and just being like, I don't want to go out with you anymore. So I was just able to make those phone calls. And of course, we all know you can't like email and be like, hey, I'm canceling. You have to call. It's a hard sales pitch. The price got reduced and cut in half. And, because I was a great client for them, I was spending a lot of money and earning a lot of money. And so everybody was very happy with this relationship except me. So when I was able to kind of cut those cords, it was really a great feeling, but it was so interesting on the other end to hear like, almost desperation, because they're offering all these discounts. And what if we give you 3 months free? And what if we half price? And what if we this? And I was just like, I don't need that anymore. And so now I get reached out to by new or previous lead generation type companies, and I'm just able to say, I'm not interested.
That's so amazing. So let's dive into Instagram specifically for you and what kind of conversations you're having on the platform. I remember the very first lead that you told me you had ever generated on Instagram was a gentleman who found you from a value series post, about 1031 exchanges. Most people, I remember you very, very specifically telling me too, like, do people care about 1031 exchanges? Like, should I be posting about that? And I said 1000% yes, because even though somebody who might see that might not get it, somebody who does understand that and might be interested in that is going to say, oh my gosh, Carla, this is exactly the information I've been looking for. But that first lead, if I recall, called the phone number in your bio only to find out that he did not get you directly, and he wanted Carla very much so directly. And told your broker, hey, I need to speak to Carla. Where is Carla? But talk to me about the first lead. Talk to me about like the process of when the leads started happening, kind of what the story is behind some of them.
So it took some time, right? I didn't make one Instagram post and then people just started calling me. That's not how it worked. I'd say it took, I don't know, 6 months. And the first call I got, his name was Justin. And I had done a value series about 1031 exchanges. And one of the conversations Michelle and I had is commercial real estate is very boring. It's all about money. There's nothing sexy about it. I can't show you like sexy quartz countertops and, things like that. It's literally like, hey, here's a crappy building and you should buy it. So there's a challenge that comes with trying to make commercial real estate like attractive. So one of the things I do is I talk about finance terms, lease terms, tax issues like 1031 exchanges. And so I was on there talking about it. And this guy, clicked in my bio and he called and was like, I want to speak to Carla, because the guy answered. My broker was a guy. And he was like, you're not Carla. And he was like, no, I want to talk to Carla. What's her phone number? And so he gave him my phone number and we had a really long conversation that night. And one of the things he said was, I haven't met an agent that knows about these things. Now, is that true? No, I am not unique. There's a lot of agents that know about this stuff. They're just not out in front of people talking about it.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go follow my guests on social media. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you consume this content.